1, 2, 3, 4. I'm testing.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. One time for H time. One time for D time. One time for A time. M time. Yeah, R.I.P. to Mega Evers, R.I.P. to Dr. Kane. I ain't tryna hate on my own kind, but Al and Jesse don't speak for me. I'm probably gonna catch some flack, man, but I'ma swallow this pill like Pac-Man. Some of these folks won't tell the truth, too busy trying to get them racks, man. Church trying to rob my paychecks, choir members probably having gay sex, pastor manipulating, hurting women. I wonder which he's gonna slay next. Bookstore pimping them hope books, like I don't know how broke looks, and telling me that I'm gonna reap a meal if I sow into these low crooks. Plus I know old girl a freak, the how she singing is so low. I walked in the church with a snapback and they telling me that that's a no-no. That's backwards and I lack words for these actors called pastors. All these folks is hypocrites and that's why I ain't at church. Truthfully, I'm just doing me and I don't want to face no scrutiny. As long as the church keep wilding out, I can justify all my foolish deeds. Smoking weed, pulling up, keep that lean up in my cup. Maybe I could change the world, but the porn on my laptop got me stuck. Yeah, I know what's right from wrong, but that there ain't gon' sell a song. I'd rather sell my soul than save it, if that's what make my money long. It better not be no real God, but real hope that heals hearts and shows me that I ain't living up to all the things that he put me here for. It better not be no real church, real saints who pray hard and let me rock my snapback with the 501s in the J zone. It better not be no real folk who don't think that they better than you. Straight or gay, drunk or high, they walk through the cold, whether with you. Now we don't want to see that, cause that might mean life change. That might mean I'm worth more than money, car, sex, and pipe dreams. Better not be no real Jesus, real forgiveness for hurt folks. If God gon' take me as I am, I guess I already got on my church clothes.
Hello.
Hello everybody, this is Christian Chocolate, and this is my video about Christian Marxism. So I'm a Christian Marxist, and a lot of people ask me what that means. To them, it sounds like pure nonsense. Most Christians, especially in the United States, where I live, tend to be right-wing and are openly hostile towards Marxism. They hate it almost as much as they don't understand it. Even the so-called progressive Christians are usually very liberal, supporting center-right policies of the Democratic Party, and looking on the left with disdain. Even people on the left tend to react with skepticism. While many leftists admire some of Jesus' teachings and are far from the religion-hating stereotypes that fundies always warn their congregations about, most leftists take Marx's statement that religion is the opiate of the masses seriously. But let's look at this quote in context. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people. The abolition of religion, as the illusory happiness of the people, is the demand for their real happiness. To call on them to give up their illusions about their condition is to call on them to give up a condition that requires illusions. Christian Marxism, and any form of religious Marxism, simply understands that the abolition of religion as the illusory happiness of the people does not mean the abolition of religion entirely. It understands that under capitalism as well as earlier modes of production, religion served a specific social function, but that function is not intrinsic to the religion itself. In other words, religion, and Christianity specifically, can serve as a liberatory force as opposed to a reactionary one. It can take on a proletarian class character and aid in the liberation of the working class. Since Christian Marxism must regard contemporary Christian churches, including the Catholic Church and most Protestant and Orthodox churches, as fundamentally bourgeois institutions within the superstructure of capitalist society, it is important to study Jesus and the Bible free from the constraints of their teachings. The first step is understanding Christian origins through historical materialism. Christianity is unique in this regard because the historical conditions in which it emerged were very similar to modern capitalism, with a few small differences. Karl Kautsky wrote in Foundations of Christianity, Roman society had reached the threshold of modern capitalism at the time of the rise of Christianity. The methods we have described here are roughly the same as those by which modern capitalism was founded, which Marx denoted as those of primary accumulation. Expropriation of the peasantry, plundering the colonies, slave trading, trade wars, and government debts. Ancient Roman society bore a striking resemblance to the 19th century capitalism that Karl Marx lived under. Many historians and even Marxists tend to simplify Rome's mode of production into just slavery, but the truth is that it had a very complex set of social and economic relations that included private property and slaves alongside wage laborers, much like 19th century America. Its economic growth during its golden age, from roughly the turn of the era to the 3rd century CE, was driven by imperialism and colonialism, much like 19th century Europe. Imperialism saw people in colonized lands, including the Jews of Palestine, go from small-scale agricultural production on family farms to becoming tenant farmers, working to provide a surplus to private landowners who lived in urban areas. This last fact is extremely important when considering the life of the historical Jesus of Nazareth, who Christians call Jesus Christ. While the Christian religious narrative is of a birth in Bethlehem in the year 0, historically it is most likely that Jesus was born in the year 4 BCE in Nazareth, which is a tiny hamlet in the hills of Galilee. Nazareth was a Jewish town within walking distance of the great Gentile city of Sepphoris, and that very year Sepphoris was razed by the Romans after a failed rebellion, the year 4 BCE. These failed rebellions were a staple of Palestine, and especially Galilee, before and after the lifetime of Jesus. Simon Dubnov, one of the most important historians of the Jewish people, once wrote, "From Galilee stemmed all the revolutionary movements which so disturbed the Romans." A materialist understanding of economic and social conditions in Palestine explains this. Galilee is a hilly, rocky region, and such regions are generally prone to rebellion. Kautsky wrote of the Jews in Palestine were the possessors of a mountainous country, which at a certain time no longer sufficed for assuring its inhabitants as tolerable an existence as that among their neighbors. Such a people is driven to choose between brigandage and immigration. The Scots, for example, alternately engaged in each of these pursuits. To add to that, Jesus grew up in a country ruled by Herod the Great and then his son Herod Antipas. Both Herods were close friends of the Romans and undertook massive construction projects to flatter their Roman overlords and spur economic growth. One of these would have been the rebuilding of Sepphoris, which took about 20 years, so would have taken place as Jesus grew up. Massive building projects like that would have required wage laborers such as builders, called tektons in Greek. And the Bible specifically says that Jesus was a tekton. Many Christians translate tekton as carpenter, but it more accurately means builder. It was the lowest rung of free society, especially among the Jews, whose religious mythology puts a high stock in farming ancestral land. Tektons were usually dispossessed families who had lost their land through foreclosure and had to survive by selling their labor. Were Jesus a Roman citizen, he would have been considered by the census to be a proletarian. It's this historical background that has to be considered when studying the life of the historical Jesus. By combining this approach with historical critical scholarship, a picture emerges of a Jesus in the tradition of Hebrew Bible prophets such as Amos, Isaiah, Micah, and Jeremiah, who excoriated the wealthy and powerful and advocated on behalf of the poor. Jesus joined a millenarian movement. That means a movement that is looking forward to the coming end of the world as we know it, led by John the Baptist. Then began his own after John's execution, modifying it heavily. Most importantly, he preached about a coming kingdom of God, which was a world without injustice, without hierarchy, without imperialism, without the patriarchal family structure, without money. His kingdom of God was literally to a T the stateless, moneyless, and classless society that we call communism. Jesus also created a praxis, which means theory put into practice, of traveling the countryside and sharing freely with the poor and marginalized. He and his disciples provided free healing to negate the central authority of the temple in Jerusalem, which was complicit with Roman imperialism. They treated women on an equal footing with men and even taught that Gentiles had a place in the kingdom of God. It was an egalitarian, anti-imperialistic, universalist, communistic movement. And it was also profoundly radical. Jesus did not just teach a benign message about helping the poor. He taught that in the coming kingdom, not only would the last be first, but the first would be last. That is nothing less than a religious expression of the dictatorship of the proletariat. After a prophetic demonstration against the temple, the seat of Jewish authority in Jerusalem, Jesus was summarily executed as any brigand would be, and in the most shameful way possible for a devout Jew: crucifixion. The cross was a profound symbol of state terror and Roman imperialism, reserved exclusively for political insurgents and runaway slaves. It was meant as a deterrent to show that the oppressive powers of the world, in this case Rome, were final. The heart of Christianity has nothing to do with creeds, with a set of beliefs, or with a book. It is the act of taking that cross, that ultimate symbol of oppression and domination, and turning it into a symbol of liberation. After his crucifixion, Jesus' followers actually went to Jerusalem and began a commune. They prefiguratively lived the coming kingdom of God, holding all goods in common and even taking care of all of the poor among them. That Christians eventually lost this revolutionary spirit does not negate the fact that Christianity began as a revolutionary movement and can become so again.
Jesus Christ was a man that traveled through the land, hard-working man and brave. He said to the rich, give your goods to the poor, so they laid Jesus Christ in his grave. Yes, Jesus was a man, a carpenter by hand, his followers true and brave. One dirty coward called Judas Iscariot has laid poor Jesus in his grave. He went to the preacher, he went to the sheriff, told them all the same, sell all of your jewelry and give it to the poor. So they laid Jesus Christ in his grave. When Jesus come to town, the working folks around believed what he did say. The bankers and the preachers, they nailed him on a cross and they laid Jesus Christ in his grave.
3, 2.
Yo, what is cracking, my people? What is up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to yet another episode of ADQ's Renaissance. I'm your host with the most, keeping it 100 from coast to coast. Through God, I boast. ADQ, show me love. I know. I'm dope. Yeah, I know. Oh, thank you. Cut it out. Quit it. So, yo, this is another episode of ADQ's Renaissance. This is a very, very rare Monday of ADQ's Renaissance. We are chilling. We are enjoying that federal holiday, Juneteenth. See, today is the federal version of Juneteenth. Yesterday was the real Juneteenth, which is crazy that Juneteenth and Father's Day was on the same day. I didn't know you could put two holidays on the same day, but nevertheless, that's what happened. Shout out to the fathers, shout out to Freedom, Jubilee, Harambe. Now, today is going to be like a sequel, or kind of like an answering to a previous episode that I did, talking about losing my religion. Y'all heard how I gave a full synopsis, full soliloquy about my exit from Christianity. I still have all the love in my heart for Christianity. I think it's a beautiful religion when applied right. Well, there are people out there who I know, some would probably debate me, some would probably condemn me to hell, and some, like my friend here, will probably talk with me about it and we could share experiences. And hopefully, you, the listening audience, could take it and apply it to your life however you would. What I like about this man is I feel that he approaches Christianity from a very socialist standpoint. Um, Anybody who looks at the tenements of socialism and looks at the tenements of Christianity can see some great parallels and some great commonalities. This man does a lot of volunteer work. This man is actually partly responsible for me part of his Christian socialism, me having a place to stay when I was homeless. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to ADQ's Renaissance, my friend and your friend, the articulate, the educational Thomas Burwell. What's up, Tom?
Great to be here, Adrian.
I forgot. Thomas Burwell.
All right. There we go. Honor to make an appearance on here. For sure.
So how's it going, Tom?
It's good. It's been a little hectic day. We were trying to install this water filtration system under our sink, and it was a little harder than we thought, but that's how it goes with a lot of home projects, I think.
Is it safe to say that even though you had the water filtration, which is great because that filters out all the nasty stuff that's in the city water, right?
Right.
Still, everybody's not sitting around sweating all over the place like everybody was when I was there, right?
Right, that was crazy. I forgot about that. Air conditioning went out for 3 weeks or something, and Rachel had a problem with that management company, and so she could never get there was some sort of communication issue going on because she would try to tell them things and they would not get the message or something. I don't know. That was wild though.
Yeah, that's slumlord type behavior. For those of y'all who are listening who don't know, Rachel is Thomas's can I say better half? Can I say
partner? Yeah.
Partner, main squeeze, love of his life, the great Rachel. I'm not gonna say her last name, but yes, the great Rachel.
Yep.
So Thomas, let's just jump right into it. You checked out my episode, Losing My Religion, and you gave great quality feedback to it. While I had a friend who was greatly offended by some of the things that I said, and I did say a couple of offensive things. I apologize for that. But while someone probably offended, you took it as kind of like a more reflective piece in which I was coming as a man who was grown in a certain way. And reflectively speaking, coming to a point where I have decided to make my exit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think if I remember right, you weren't saying that Christianity doesn't have any value. That you were saying that you were open to looking back into it at some point, there's a lot of people on the internet especially that are, anti-religious, and they say that, religion just causes wars and the world would just be better off without any sort of religion, or spirituality is just pseudoscience or whatever, stuff like that. And I didn't get that vibe from you at all. You still see the value in religion. It was just the churches as they exist today weren't giving you what you needed from it.
Yeah, I would say that while while religion can come off as restraining to me at times, it can also help guide people in a certain direction. I mean, I use this great man, Malcolm X, as an example.
Right.
Malcolm Little couldn't have became Malcolm X without Islam. A lot of
Right.
who he became, the articulate speaker and leader that he was, came as a result of the teachings that he learned from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and through the Quran with Islam. So I would definitely say that religion does have its place. I would ask you though, what has been your experience and your whole story with Christianity? Because I know that you, oh my goodness, yo, if anybody understands the Southern Baptist conservative upbringing, I feel like it'll be you. Like who you
Right.
are
Well,
today, far cry
yeah,
from that.
definitely. Growing up, my mom was really into going to church. Like that was the center of her life, kind of thing. But my grandma was actually the one that everyone in the church knew. Like my grandmother had taught Sunday school for decades at the church I grew up in, and so everyone knew her and loved her. And she was just a really sweet and Christian. Like she was very intelligent too. Like she would make insightful, have very insightful things to say. And so she was just very respected in the church, and everyone knew her. And so yeah, I was growing up in that environment. But then I guess I always had like kind of a skeptic's attitude, just from like I liked math and science in school. I kind of figured, that there was like a conflict between, well, do you just believe because everyone else believes, or do you, doubt and try to figure out whether this is actually true? Yeah, what is the truth? And so, and the way the Southern Baptists do it, or the way Baptists in general do it, is you're not baptized in the church at birth, but you actually wait until you grow up some. A lot of people choose to get baptized when they're 5 or 6 or 7 maybe, but I waited till I was, I think, 14, which was a lot older than a lot of other people in the church. But so
I remember I got baptized when I was 19. So I think
okay.
I got your I think I got your elderly baptism beat just by a little bit. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
You did, yeah. No, yeah. That's. Did you grow up in a church, like, or did you grow up Baptist, or what?
Absolutely. Like,
Okay.
right now, I have this taste for denominations because I feel like that they're divisive. But I did grow up Baptist.
Okay.
I don't. I've went to a white conservative Baptist church in Winston-Salem, Calvary Baptist, and I grew up in the Black Baptist church. Both Baptists,
Gotcha.
two completely different worlds.
Yeah, that is a weird thing in Baptist, where there's not as many interracial congregations as much, because there's, that's just going back to segregation and stuff like that.
Yeah, it has been said. I forgot who said it, but the most segregated. James Baldwin said it. The most segregated hour of in the United States is high noon on Sunday.
Mm.
However, if we're going by the tenements of what the Bible says and what it teaches in regards to loving your neighbor and loving your brother, then that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the non-denominational evangelical churches are more interracial, but since we do have this heritage of segregation and racism, then it does it's just a carryover from that, where you already had these established churches that were either black or white, and so I mean.
So I want to ask you this, because growing up, I was afraid. I would say growing up and well into my adulthood, I was afraid to question. I would just dismiss whatever tick that I had. But you mentioned how you like math and you like science, and that led you to questioning. Are you here um because your mama was here and your grandmama was here and your great grandmama was here, or are you here because you believe in God and you want to have a very close relationship with Jesus?
Exactly.
I would ask you, how did you expound upon that feeling? Like, what did you do with that feeling?
Yeah. So when I decided to get baptized, I basically, I kind of suppressed that a little bit, and I was like, well, I can tell that some people in this church, do have a good relationship with God. They are good people. They're, doing positive things with their life, and their relationship with God is a central part of that. And so I did kind of just suppress that doubt for a little, and just say, well, I'm going to trust these people, and but yeah, there's a really interesting take on that I've heard recently from this author named Osho, who I've been listening to, and he said that there's a difference between between belief and trust. Whereas belief, he associates with a kind of left brain attitude, where you don't allow yourself to question. But with trust, he said that questioning is an integral part of trust. Like, you can't really trust something without also being able to question it and interrogate it and kind of enter into a dialogue with it. And so, yeah, I think, and reflecting back on my relationship, I think I always did have that dialogue going on, so it's like, I think, that's the way I try to approach it now. Like, it's good to trust things, but you also got to have that dialogue. That questioning and interrogation is also a healthy part of that trust. So.
Yeah, I would say that an integral part of having a relationship with God is, as human beings, there are things that we don't know, and
exactly.
when you don't ask questions, you're just going to put out asinine, what's the word I'm looking for? Statements, theories, hypotheses, guesses.
Mm-hmm.
I think it falls into that one of those realms.
Or rationalizations, maybe, like
rationalizations.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. What were you about to say?
Yeah, just I think if you don't have that questioning attitude, then you just get into the dogmatism, and just instead of saying, like, does God really does God really want us to ban abortions in this country and stuff like that? And you're not really going to think about that from a critical perspective. Going to say, well, my preacher said so, and it says there's this verse or something, and you're not really going to get into the spirit of it. Like, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, that's abortion's a very hot button. It's a very complicated issue, I will say. So, I think there's arguments to be made either way, but but people who have a dogmatic approach to it aren't going to get into those arguments. They're just going to say, this is how, my group of people, what my group of people says about it.
And that closes off, the chances of a nuanced discussion, right?
Exactly.
I know about abortion. I'm pro-life, right? But I have talked it over with women, and that has brought me to the conclusion. As pro-life as I am against a woman what to do.
Sure.
Nobody has a right to tell a woman what to do with her body. I bet you a good number of them are not just up and saying, "Okay, at me." A lot of women can die from childbirth. Women can get sick from childbirth. The child can be deformed in his early development stages. I used to date a woman. Not to get completely into the whole abortion thing, but I used to date a woman whose son came as a result of raping, and I imagine raping to be like a traumatic experience. Well, her son looks just like.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who looks at it from a very nuanced would know that abortion is not just black and white. There's a whole bunch of gray that go into there, and
exactly. I agree.
And anyone who goes into and anyone who taps into versus the religious, this is my view. Anyone who taps into the spiritual versus the religious, religion. Pow, 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 bullet point, you gotta do it this way. Spiritual, God, what do you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. What is it? Let's see. There that same author I've been listening to, Osho, talks about how the real religion. I mean, well, he does. I don't think he makes that distinction quite so much, because he just says real religion is always about the inner life, whereas the church, like the organized groups or organized religion, focuses on the outer life. And so but yeah, I think it's the same distinction you're making there.
I like that. Like, it sounds like from what Asha is saying, Asha, right?
Osho, yeah. S-H-O.
Okay. Sounds like what he's saying kind of like points more towards the whole spiritual aspect that I'm looking to champion. In other words, God take care of what's inside of me so that what's outside of me be pleasing unto your will, right?
Right. For sure.
So I would ask you, okay, let me ask you this before we continue on your path. Excuse me. I'm asking you this because you are way more tapped into the whole to math and science than I am. I watch. I try. I into Neil deGrasse Tyson and see what other astrophysicists are to get more into Afrofuturism. I feel like there's a whole scientific world that has my name for it. I know that there's a lot of science that backs climate change, but you don't rock with climate change. If I'm not mistaken, I think last time I was talking about climate change, that was your position. You don't rock with it.
I've got questions. I'll say that.
You got questions? Great. We're supposed to have questions. So my question to you is, from your standpoint, why do Christians, both in the church that you grew up in and the churches that I grown up in, why do Christians battle science so much? You know what I'm saying? Not all Christians do, but a lot of them battle science.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a text message here.
It's all good. Might be an answer right there.
No, my fault. Yeah, let me put my phone on silence here. Okay. Good, so, yeah, that's a great question. I think, I think there's different ways that certain Christians have tried to get around, to get through that. I think there's what is this guy's name? Shoot. He's actually was part of the like the National Science Foundation, I believe. Like, you know, he was appointed by one of the presidents to head this national scientific organization, but he's also an evangelical Christian who, you know, and his argument is like the way he's gotten around like evolution, the big issue in America. And yeah, and I think he believes that, you know, evolution was God's design kind of thing. Like evolution was the process God used to, you know, for people to become who we are today. And so,
well, I have questions about evolution because
sure.
I'm not convinced that ancestors came on this earth as a monkey.
Well, and that's not quite right, because it's that monkeys and humans have a common ancestor, but that common ancestor is extinct now. So it's like but yeah, I mean, I get your point. I get your point.
Well, my point. Well, what I was getting at is wouldn't like the theory of evolution kind of like debunk the whole Adam and Eve story?
Not necessarily. I mean, it depends on if you see it as literal or a metaphor, right? Because, like, I mean, if you look at the 7 days that God created the universe or whatever, like at first he creates the fish first, and then he creates the land animals, and that actually is in line with what the theory of evolution says too. The fish come first, and then the land animals come next. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean that's getting a little too. I mean, that's not even the point, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think the theory of evolution is definitely. If you believe the theory of evolution, you would definitely see the story of Adam and Eve as a metaphor and not as like a literal story, like literal events necessarily.
I mean, when I talk about my ancestors, okay, so early in my search for spirituality and in my path to find my Africanity, I got into an ancestral discussion with this young man who is white, who was part of the church, that I was going to at the time, which is, you know, pretty much the Southern Baptist Church, right? He said his ancestors are Adam and Eve. I'm like, my ancestors ain't no daggone Adam and Eve. My ancestors are my grandmother and the people who came before me, whoever operated in the different African tribes, those tribes that I'm still that I'm looking to learn one day in Africa. But he called his ancestors Adam and Eve. So there are people who believe that the Adam and Eve story is a literal.
Right. Yeah. That was one of the things that turned me off from Southern Baptists. I think just that literal approach to everything. So, like, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
So Noah's Ark, literal or metaphorical?
That one's a little more of a gray area because, I mean, there could be some literal parts to that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think, you know, didn't some archaeologists claim that they found what could be Noah's Ark in like Turkey or some country like that? I can't remember what country, but I don't know. So yeah, I'd have to study that one more. But yeah, I think it's a little more black and white with the Adam and Eve story. That just does not. If you believe in the science of evolution, there's not much room to say that was a literal. That Adam and Eve were literal people, but.
So, I will ask you now, in your own personal journey, at what point did you not deflect, cause you're still a practicing Christian to this very day, But at what point did you say, okay, y'all over here at the church, y'all tripping, okay? Let
Sure.
me get my Bible. Let me get with my Bible and my God, and let's figure this out ourselves.
Sure. Well, I mean, that actually probably has a lot to do with my family dynamics, because my sister had a kind of rebellious attitude, and she, used drugs or whatever in high school, and my parents actually ended up sending her to this crazy fundamentalist Baptist boarding school, and so that was a big, I don't know, just seeing that whole process shake out was like kind of a red flag to me, I'd say.
Let me ask this real quick, before you, fundamentalists like crucible fundamentalists.
Have you seen The Handmaid's Tale?
Crucible, them people were crazy.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the school is shut down, and there's the internet for people who attended. So.
Kind of like a mental support group, or
right. Yeah. Yeah. So it was pretty extreme.
So so most of your family are pretty much radical in that sense, right?
It would be my mom. Like, my mom took that attitude for whatever reason. So, like, my dad he grew up Methodist, and he's more economic conservative, to be honest. Like, I think if he had married a different woman, he wouldn't go to church much, but since he married my mom, he goes every week and sleeps through the sermons, kind of thing. So, but
I've had many times when people had wake me up in a sermon, I'd be like, the pastor be like, Jesus, and I'd be like,
yep, that's my dad there.
Oh man. Okay, so your mom, see, one scripture that troubles me. I forget where it's at, but I know that Paul wrote it, and he was talking about wives being submissive to your husbands, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know Rachel well enough to know that if you were to come at
I would be out the door. Exactly. That's very true.
I believe that scripture has a lot of patriarchy attached, but I think that it also speaks to the time. Like any.
What I've heard, like, to that specific scripture, I think I've heard some Christians make the argument that Paul was giving that advice to that specific church, and because their city was going through like a turbulent time or something, and that he wasn't necessarily saying that should be applied to all churches. So, but there's different readings of it.
And it surely should not be applied to any heterosexual married couples in 2022.
Right, right.
Like, if I was like, whenever I get married, I would just feel weird my wife taking my last name. Like, it's probably based off of the Bible why women take their husband's last name. That misinterpretation of what Paul said, that's probably the reason why women take their husband. I'm like, why? Why you trying to take my last name? Why can't I take your last name?
True.
You know what I'm saying? And like,
no, for sure.
Say again.
I was just agreeing. Yeah, like, yeah, the patriarchy is that was the system. Like if you, even as recently as the 60s and 70s, there was just the amount of women in the high-paying jobs was extremely small, and so that's a huge change our society's going through. mean, I think it's a change.
Hey, I mean, I'm down. Hey, I'm ready. I, like you, I'm also ready to see a woman president. Not Kamala Harris, but someone like Nina Turner and Tesla Figaro. Shoot.
For sure.
Anna for I forgot her name. She's a no, not her. Shoot, maybe in AOC. I mean, she did some stuff that I wasn't with, but hey, no one's perfect. So maybe in AOC when she get old enough to do it.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
but I would
America.
say
I was just gonna say, like, the Democratic Party politics is not looking good right now. It's looking gonna get landslided in this mid-year elections, but midterm elections. Who knows?
Of course, man. They're for those who are listening, me and Tom have had many political discussions, so this goes into politics. Just bear with us.
Right. Yeah, I think we're both mainly on the left, but the Democratic Party has just not been representing the left-wing issues very well, unfortunately.
Did you just call me a leftist, man?
I think you're on the left on some things.
Why do people keep saying that?
Are you not? Okay, my bad. I apologize.
Oh no. I guess you would say that I'm more so.
I mean, you were talking about you wanted Nina Turner and AOC. I just assumed.
Your daggone right, better than daggone Liz Cheney.
Right.
I mean, come on. Get another Cheney in the office. Do we have to relive the Bush years again? Baby Bush.
Right.
I'm sorry. I know that you. I will assume that you, definitely Rachel does. A lot of people on the left think that Donald Trump is the devil, but I will take Donald Trump over another Bush Cheney administration in a heartbeat.
I agree with you there. Yeah, the Bush Cheney was the worst, I think. Like, the whole Iraq war was. Donald Trump never got us into a war. I mean, I don't know.
No. Inflation has been taking place under Biden.
I mean, Trump did increase the federal budget as well, so yeah, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, Biden. He's had some bad luck, but he's not responded well to it either.
But yeah, I would say that I'm probably more so center. Like, I've been told that I've been told that I come off as a libertarian. Let's see. I'm pro guns, but I'm not like trying to I think that there needs to be a background check in line with gun purchase. Now, that's not always going to take place. Like here, like there are places here on the east side of Greensboro. Yeah, ain't no gun control taking place. You got the money, they got the gun, bye, there it is. I already said how I feel about abortion. Hate it, wish it didn't exist, but it's her body. Another hot button left issue. Healthcare for all. Yeah, healthcare needs to be for all. Otherwise, people wouldn't be dropping like flies. I recently wrote a poem that was a love letter to the LGBTQIA+ community. It's called "Love Gon' Be There Quick." So that's how I'm growing in that regard. Love everybody, Sweet. Love them all. So, and I believe that what has caused me to start caring about these issues and stuff and how they affect people is, as Mary said, the God in me. And one thing I've always respected about you, Tom, is how, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to marry your socialism with your Christianity.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think well, actually, yeah, kind of. So my sister, when she came back from that boarding school, she had gotten like she studied the Bible a lot and had memorized all these Bible passages. They studied the King James version of the Bible, and she actually had a like some sort of I don't know what would you call it, but she had some sort of like she believed that her interpretation that she had understanding of the Bible, and that if she just shared that with enough of the right people, that was kind of her mission to bring that message to people. That she was basically trying to say that the um, the Bible isn't saying that people are going to spend eternity in hell. She was saying that hell, kind of like her argument was kind of something like that hell doesn't exist, and she was saying, and she just had this kind of fixation on trying to tell that to everyone. Out with her and some of her people she knew, and they would be asking her like, I don't want to talk about this anymore, Mary, and she would keep talking about it, and I'd be like I don't know, it was kind of, it was just like, I mean, she never went to a normal high school, so she didn't really know how to talk about things, like, I don't know, because she went to this crazy school for boarding school for, so she never had a normal high school experience, never got a group of friends in high school and stuff like that. And but I finally found out the thing that got her to stop doing that with people was I would kind of redirect the conversation and say, I agree with you, Mary, Christianity and capitalism are completely incompatible. And I would start going into like socialist politics and like talking about socialist politics, and so and say how like capitalism is the whole problem and it's ruined Christianity and stuff, and that finally got her to like not keep talking about all that so much, and to kind of have more normal conversations with people. So
I love that. I love how, man. I love that. I mean, yo, I struggle with the existence of hell. I mean, I feel like hell is more so because
yeah. No, I mean, I actually kind of admire my sister's interpretation in that regard. I agree. I mean, and yeah, I definitely have kind of agree with that interpretation, actually, that you can say that, heaven and hell are mental states, not necessarily physical places. And that, so, but anyway.
I'm laughing because the whole story just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Okay, so there was this angel in heaven who was his name was Lucifer, and then
right.
Lucifer, he felt like that he got was like the ish, like his poop don't stink, right? And God sent him, gave him his own kingdom. So if I start tripping them all, I'm going. That's all I gotta do, right? All the angels.
Right.
They'll probably be like, oh, so I just gotta start tripping now, and I can get my own kingdom.
Right. Yeah, and it's just like hell is a big party, and that all the party people go to hell and just have a big like, highway to hell or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Like, turn up. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, man. And y'all, I love how you deflected over to capitalism problem, because wow, I love my money. Well, that's a whole problem there, because it's little paper with dead slave owners on it, and it's not even back currency. So, do I love my paper? No, it's not the paper. It's the Pay for its status. I don't know what it is. It has seeped its way into the evangelical church, causing
right. The prosperity gospel. Yeah.
Oh my God, prosperity gospel.
Totally.
I even heard someone say that prosperity gospel is, are you familiar with Creflo Dollar?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
This man once stood in front of that's the congregation to help him get his $3 jet to go all over the world and spread the gospel.
Oh my God.
Like, Creflo. There are a lot of people all spread the gospel. They do not need no jet.
Oh man. Yeah, it's wild.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying the whole prosperity gospel is I actually went to a workshop in Charlotte by this mystic Andrew Harvey, who's I definitely recommend. He was actually he's translated the poet Rumi into English, and I've got like a CD of him reading his translation of Rumi, and it's beautiful for sure. He was at this workshop I went to. It was actually at a Unity Church in Charlotte, and but he was very critical. They actually had in the front of the church there was like a bookstore that has some prosperity gospel. He was very critical of that aspect. He actually called out the church for that when we were at this workshop that the church was hosting. So
Paula White, Kenneth Copeland, watch out for all of them. They suck. They're not good. I try not to talk junk about people, but I'm calling them spades. Paula White worked for Donald Trump.
Interesting, gotcha.
Yeah, I want to ask you, Tom, because here's the root of what I'm trying to get to. A lot of evangelical Christians, who I've known, like I've been a member of 3 white churches, white evangelical churches, and yeah, I'm calling them white churches because dang, if you go there, I promise you, like you, and then people look like me. Calvary Baptist over in Winston-Salem, Pinedale Christian Church over there, and Mercy Hill Church here. All of them, I myself there. I very much enjoyed myself. Even the white evangelical mind that they have attained, they probably have had since college or since childhood, are very much you very much could have become like that. My question to you, yes, you very much could have become like that. I mean, with your intellect, you could be a pastor right now. My question to you is, what stopped that? What veered you in a different direction? Because I know you had to piss somebody off at some point.
I mean, it was my sister. I mean, for sure. Like, my parents were, they, I mean, there was a big conflict between my sister and my parents, and I basically had to pick a side. And I was like, I felt like she was getting kind of a raw bargain from it all. And so I was like, well, let me look more into what she's saying about all this. And so, and just seeing how the church kind of responded to the trouble my parents were having, it was like, instead of actually going to other people in the church to help with it, my mom was more, just didn't want to talk about it with anyone. She didn't want people in the other church to know that, the granddaughter of this highly respected person in the church is having all these troubles or problems. And so just seeing that whole dynamic was definitely kind of opened my eyes to some things like wait a second, why don't other people in the church help my parents and my sister get through this and learn to communicate better and stuff. And there just wasn't. I think there was one assistant pastor that did come and try to help a little, but then that was it. It was like, well, that didn't work. Oh well, we'll just sweep it under the rug and try to just not bother people with our problems and stuff like that. And it didn't seem like a healthy way for a community to behave, and and other people in the church, they wouldn't really, it's like all of a sudden Mary stopped coming to church because she was at this boarding school, and they didn't really try to dig into what was happening. It was just like, okay, that's it. And so that was definitely part of it. Then I guess in college I got into this author. I went to Wake Forest University, and one of the religion professors on campus was holding a Sunday school on campus, and so I started attending that Sunday school, and he recommended and part of the reading for the Sunday school class was from this author Anthony DeMello, and from the book Awareness, and that was definitely a big role in everything too, and kind of developing my own spiritual understandings, I guess. So
tell me this: would your spiritual kind of like well, your walk is for you, right? But if you were to like compare it to anyone, would you say that it kind of like compared to a Furtick type?
I'm not sure, familiar with him, unfortunately.
Okay. Tell me. Okay. How about this? Would be a better question. Who do you read for like a commentary or kind of like a theological understanding for things?
Sure. Right. Currently, there's actually a Marxist philosopher, Slavoj Žižek, and he's written a lot about Christianity, believe it or not. And so, I actually like listening to his YouTube videos. As far as spirituality, well, I love that author. I've been talking about Osho, and partly because he has a great insights the how the mind works, actually, with the left brain and right brain. And he actually says that he actually goes back to he says the crucifixion, he actually sees it as a parable. He says, because he said that Jesus was crucified with two other thieves, right? One on the left and one on the right. And he said that the thieves represent the past and the future, and that Jesus in the center represents the present moment, and the cross is like the intersection, where you have the vertical axis and the horizontal axis, and the cross is the center, the present moment. And he said that the thief, that they're thieves that represent the past and the future, because whenever we worry about the past or worry about the future, it's stealing the present moment from us. And so and that the whole point of religion is so that you're fully present in what you're doing in the present moment, that you're fully engaged with the present at all, and that's is to lock the mind into that engagement with the present moment. And that's what a true, inner spiritual does for you. It's not focused on these outward, on these goals of, more members for the church or whatever, worrying about, sins that you've done in the past or whatever. The religion really, the whole purpose is to engage you with the present moment at all times, or to the maximum extent.
That reminds me of something that reminds me of a lyric that Lupe Fiasco said in the song, where he said numbers govern our young religions. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Christianity like the youngest religion out there?
No, Islam is younger.
Oh.
Yeah, because Islam includes Christ as a prophet. I mean, Muhammad came after Christ.
Oh, dang, my bad. Shoot, I owe somebody an apology. I said Christianity is the youngest religion. But hey, Christianity is still a young religion, right?
Compared to Judaism, Hinduism, and Taoism, yeah. Those are the other main ones. So.
But then again, like Christianity, if I'm not mistaken, Christianity is kind of like a furthering of Judaism, but the Christianity that me and you were both raised on is Protestant Christianity, which is kind of like a protest, which was like a protest to the Catholic Church. Am I right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
The furthering of what do you mean? A protest? Say that again. Sorry. It's a furthering of Judaism, which is a.
It was like a furthering of Judaism. Yeah. Like everybody in the Bible up until the New Testament, up until the book of Acts, are Jews. Judaism is the religion that has taken place, right? After the crucifixion and then the ascent and then Jesus' ascent into heaven, the apostles are going around preaching the gospel and whatnot, and it's Christianity that's speaking. But the Christianity that me and you have grown up on is Christianity.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Baptist denomination that's attached to Protestant Christianity, and Protestant, since the word pro, I believe is
right. I got you now.
Catholic Church, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
And so, the way the whole thing come together is a little wonky for me. I want to talk about that you bring into it, because another thing about the Southern Baptist Church is like pockets. I mean, we're going to pay friends. We'll give a little bit to charity and whatnot, but other than that, touch nobody pockets. It's been my experience that a lot of people in the Southern Baptist Church are very conservative fiscally, and you're not touching their money.
Right. Yeah, they don't mind the, what is it, 10% tithe, but don't try to talk to them about a federal income tax, right?
That's where exactly. I say that's why, and a lot of them are staunchly against, right?
Right.
Whenever I would tell someone during the both times when Bernie Sanders ran, that I was supporting him, they'd be like, "Oh, Bernie Sanders, he didn't get his first job till he was 40." So, and how socialism goes into communism and all of this, But socialism, socialism to me, and you're the socialist. I've been called a socialist or a democratic socialist, but I think like a socialist in some ways. You're the actual socialist. Socialism to me is like everybody has an equal. Just very biblical, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Right. Yeah, there's actually some kibbutzes in Israel still that are, sometimes cited as an example of like practicing socialism, and that there's not any one person who's the head of the kibbutz. It's just like a commune. It's like another type of commune, but I think kibbutz is specifically a Jewish. It's like a Jewish commune, basically. But yeah, I think there's a lot of the values that are similar for sure. Like, if what does it really mean to love your neighbor as yourself? It's like, I think that should mean that, if you're getting paid $250,000 a year, that you should probably be paying a lot of taxes, because I mean, it's not just you who created that job; it's the society the economy is a social creation. It's not one person who created any one job or any one industry or whatever. So,
even Jay-Z had help in creating Rock Nation.
There you go. Yeah, and the whole thing about artists, like, that is an issue. Like, how would artists get paid under socialism? And there's lots of interesting books, articles about all that. So I don't know, but yeah, that's a controversy among socialists, is what I mean to say. Like, if we do have a socialist society, how would artists get paid money? So like how would they? By what standard would they get paid for their work? So,
maybe they'll have to put their fingers in the mud with the rest of us. Cause I'm an artist, but
right.
I'm also also the real world type stuff.
Yeah. There's different socialists will have different answers for that, for sure.
And so I would say, so one could say that in terms of loving your neighbor, helping the poor, take upon each other's burden, scriptures like that. That's kind of like where socialism and Christianity share a commonality, right?
Yeah, and I guess what I'd say right now is, I think, I don't know. It's tough to say like what's going on politically, because I don't think politically that socialism is going to be on the table in America anytime soon. But right. So.
No. For one thing, Bernie is too old to run. He's done.
Right.
I personally think it's just a matter of time before it goes out.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to. If she doesn't, she's going to get kicked out of the Democratic Party, and so who knows? But yeah, because I mean, they're just bullies, and that, like, the Democratic Party leadership does not treat progressives, like people who actually take progressive stands, kindly. So.
Well, look what's running up. Is that old Pelosi and crying Chuck Schumer.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
yeah, it's a mess.
Okay, so whenever I would sit in a conservative, I would just wonder, how can these people Trump so much? Right? Then it started to become, number one, I don't know how much of a Christian he is. I'm definitely isn't my friend to go to about God.
Right.
But not judge. like it is. I mean, I'm just calling it like I see it. Fiscal conservative who is more paying attention to their pockets. Trump is their friend, right? Not only that, but he goes up. We love God. We're going to pledge the flag. And they marry patriotism into their faith or their translation of their faith because Christianity here ain't what it was in Africa when it first started. So, well, getting that is that would probably be why to Trump, I think. And I would say in a political sense, while the guy who I want to get the job, disruption that I wanted to happen, no way happened.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's the crazy thing. It's like that's why I was kind of hesitating on saying, like, before the pandemic, I thought there's no way that socialism ever happens in my lifetime in America, you know. But I mean, after the pandemic is like, well, who knows what's going to happen? Like, I feel a lot less confident in saying anything about what's going to happen in 10 or 20 years, you know. So, yeah, after Trump and the pandemic, I mean, those two events, actually, for sure.
Who knows? But you cannot put your faith in a two-party system.
Yeah, and the whole thing about Trump being elected is it makes me wonder if Hillary was president, would the pandemic ever have been as big an issue in the media? You know, if Hillary's president doesn't care that much about the pandemic, you know, it makes me wonder. Right? Yeah. It would. Yeah, it's interesting.
And also, I will also say this. When I'm from the church and they will talk about, like, I once visited a church, they were saying, we gotta pray for president.
Wow.
No,
that's not
the whole pray for Trump.
Sure, yeah, for the president, that's fine, but yeah.
Pray for Trump, yeah. But I used to say, read the Bible in school, pray on Senate floor, all that. No. The church is separate.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that's a tough issue, I think, because it's like, where does that cross the boundary of freedom of speech of, like, teachers and things like that? And
if a teacher wants to, I think that in that regard, if a teacher wants, thank God for a new day, great. But if the teacher's trying to win a student's soul with Christ, that's
right. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, in Europe they don't really have that tradition of separation of church and state, and there are political parties that are like Christian socialism or democratic or Christian. I forgot what the other conservative Christian party or something like that, and so yeah, it's a different dynamic in Europe, and I don't know, like. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I think there's pros and cons either way is what I'll say, I guess, because, like, yeah, I'd have to read more about what's going on in Europe, but I think, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I definitely don't want to live under like a, fundamentalist Christian president, like, I don't know. So I think it's a good safeguard to have in place in America, at least, but, at the same time, I guess I do have like some concerns about the secular scientific view. That's actually one thing I want to talk about. Is recently there was someone from California. He's been arrested now, but he flew to Washington D.C. and then he called 911 when he got there. He drove to one of the Supreme Court justices' house that he found on the internet. He drove to this guy's house, and he had a gun with him, but he saw a police car there, and then he called 911 and turned himself in, saying, like, I flew from California with the idea of killing the Supreme Court justice. And he later said, when the police like came and arrested him and were interviewing him, he basically said, I was trying to figure out how to make my life meaningful, and yeah, based on what I'm reading on the internet, this seemed to be the thing to do, or something. And I was like, holy shit! Like, I don't know. That's just the secular worldview, doesn't give people a sense of meaning for their lives, and so that is something that concerns me too. So I don't know. It's like, it's that, nihilism. I think, Christianity, if you're raised Christian, you're not going to have that nihilistic attitude as much. And so I think that's a positive of Christianity, which, I've got a lot of problems with it too, but it does have positives that I see also. So.
And so as we start to wrap it up, because I think the dog.
Yeah, yeah. Rachel just got home. She was out getting food. So.
And so I would ask you: would you say that those morals and everything that you just mentioned, in comparison to someone who's more secular, is that why would you say held on to your faith that you were all the time?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting dynamics from Christianity still that are still very relevant. I think there's two main things that have kept me in Christian faith, I guess, is one, the poet William Blake. He was a very strong Christian, and he was actually, a lot of his work was trying to create a modern Christian mythology. So he was basically trying to reinterpret. He was a poet, so he was writing these mythic poems, and was trying to update Christianity for the modern world, I guess. And so I think it's pretty fascinating, and because I think Christianity's there's a lot of sociological evidence that capitalism spread fastest in actually the Protestant countries in Europe, and so there's a strong connection between this Protestant work ethic and the spread of capitalism and the development of capitalism, and so it's definitely relevant to the modern world in a lot of ways, and I think it's good to be aware of those connections and try to figure out what are the pros and what are the cons, but to be able to figure that out, you gotta, I don't know it. Yeah, so I guess personally for my, I've got a lot of ideas, and I'd love to have another conversation in the future, but sorry, I'm kind of all over the place right now.
It's all good. I'm about to let you get to go to your family. I just want to let you know, Thomas, we definitely got to continue this conversation again, and I will also tell you that as I take my step out of Christianity to find what spiritually and faithfully awaits me, like you, that could just very much successfully pull me back in there. So, hey man, there is people like you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being you.
Thank you, Adrian. Yes, it's been a lot of fun to have this conversation.
So what?
I said, yeah, it's been a fun conversation for me.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad. So now I release you. Please tell Rachel I said hey, and thank you for your time, man. And again, we're going to have to continue this one day.
Absolutely. Sounds good, Adrian. I'll see you.
And that was Thomas Burwell. I don't know, but anyway, so Renaissance and has been, dang it, it has been powered by Riverside FM. So down to Riverside. So the next episode of ADQ is going to be Sunday, 6 o'clock. Tune in on Tapping It In with Tiffany Speaks. Great Wall Street, you know what I'm saying? Paper to Film, you know what I'm saying? Other incredible artistic work responsible for. Shout out to Thomas. We gotta give him a round of applause. Yes. This Renaissance on ADQ. Look out for my play. Messy Millennial Pack. Messy Millennial Starter Pack. 23rd. VIP Theater. 200 North Davie Street. Tickets are $10. All 14th. I'll have a play going up in Winston-Salem as part of the Camel City Playhouse. Art of Life. Look me out here doing my dope thing. And shout out to all of y'all who are showing me love for my Juneteenth form. Much love. I'm ADQ. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. Peace.
South. Yeah. Happy Juneteenth. Mind what I'm doing? I'm acknowledging all of this black beauty. From my few peaks to my cute niece, my Africanity goes too deep. Rhymes in my Tupacs, hope you watch. The youngins on the come up, watch how their jewels rock. I'm a knight. To anyone who wanna colonize, see the drama rise, we barking like a dog pound, lighting up the chakras, higher than the doctor. I'm writing operas. You see me and think I'm corrupt? Nah, I never been that skinny to keep it a buck. But we regulate regular, like we did for the villages. Show you who the villain is. That black-owned, independent mindset. Feel the kid. Shout out to all the black-owned businesses. Kill the kids is what the system did, but we really live. History instilled in this mind as I find black privileges. Yo, my next one. To all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Give yourself a round of applause to all the fathers. All the fathers, give yourself a round of applause. This one is called Daddy's Boy. You see, I love black women, but you know, gotta show my brother some love. Peace. I see all dads and salute how they father their kids. I gradually do when I have my own, where I'm a passionate dude. Wealth of knowledge, passing like fruit. Daughter's first love, son's first hero. There all day and every day since the age of 0. Working long hours so the kid would never say we're broke. Let me make one thing super clear, yo. Chris Rock said, what about the daddy? I echo that sentiment. The village sustained structure with the dad into it, 1,010%. Mom is running the show, but the presence of dad makes a difference. My dad wasn't there in the 90s to guide me. That's why I'm super grateful for Brother Wingo coming through when I was 19. That helped enhance my shining. I see RL, and not only is he dope with the quotes, but when he's with his daughters, I'm taking notes. I look like my dad, act like him too. Made my whole year when I was 35 and he said, I'm proud of you. Those words help make my hustle serious. Love to all fathers. Love to all fathers from Tony the Furious. The world's a weary one, but the dad institutes the balance. Will I be a dad one day? I'm up for the challenge. Reflect the word of God and keep the culture the richest. Happy Father's Day to all dad. May you all get the big piece of chicken. Yo, you want to find me on Instagram? Yo, Dion Chocolate Guy 85. Google ADQ's Renaissance. I'm in a play called Messy Millennial Starter Pack over there. July 21st, pull up, see me act, and my mixtape Prayers of Phil Niggas on SoundCloud. I'm AQ, thank y'all very much.
Bless me, guide me. Death has been defeated. Here's a victory. Bless me, God, not just for me, but so everyone around me can have everything they need. Let all these folks that's with me, God, have everything they need. Bless me, guide me. Death has been defeated. Here's a victory. Bless me, God, not just for me, but so everyone around me can have everything they need. Let all these folks that's with me, God, have everything they need. Favor, let it follow me, till I'm the conversation of all my enemies. Favor, God, not just for me, but so everyone around me can have everything they need. Let all these folks that's with me, God, have everything they need. Favor, let it follow me, till I'm the conversation of all my enemies. Favor, God, not just for me, but so everyone around me can have everything they need. Let all these folks that's with me, God, have everything they need. Bless me, God, death has been defeated. He is our victory. Bless me, God, not just for me, but so everyone around me can have everything they need. Let all these folks that's with me, God, have everything they need. Let all these folks that's with me, God, have everything they need. Let all these folks that's with me, God, have everything they need.
Let's go. Persecuted, not abandoned. Criticized, never forsaken. Because God's a promise keeper. I've got victory because I shall live and not die. Because Jehovah's by my side. Did I tell you he's a friend of mine? Lift him up.